Hey everyone, this is Wei and welcome back. And sorry that it took me a while to get back to this Q&A session. So let me just run through these questions right now. And there were some questions about me and my life and just kind of like my YouTube channel in general. So let me just go over a little bit about myself. And if you go to artofwei.com and then just click on the About Me section, you will get my resume. I've been working for quite a while, mainly in the CGI field. So in college, I kind of studied illustration, right? And then, when I started working, I kind of moved toward the 3D stuff. Everything is about CGI, and it was really fun. It's like I wasn't complaining. Obviously, I'm working for game companies. I get to play games, and I get to make them. And I'm learning all this stuff. So I kind of learned, modeling, texturing, lighting, animation, rigging, pretty much the whole thing. So my career has mostly been like that. I went from small companies like Technocrest and Adrenaline to larger companies like DreamWorks and stuff. And I worked on independent film and some internet stuff. I went freelancing for 2 years, almost broke me. Very hard to freelance. But eventually I landed a job at Rhythm and Hughes, which make special effects for movies, and I was hired on as a modeler. So, in terms of CGI, I guess modeling is probably one of my stronger fields because I've been doing it for almost 6 years. So you kind of become an expert in that field. So right around that time, I kind of started my own little online toy company where I was selling collectible toys, and I kind of started in a way, just because I kind of want to buy these things at a cheaper price, But it turned into a real business. So it was a good thing. But eventually I wanted to create my own series of statues because I love to draw and paint and stuff. So I wanted to create a line of statue based on my art. So after that, when I was there, after 6 years and I got married and had a kid, I just kind of want to spend more time with the family. So I decided to take the leap and, go back into freelancing. Luckily, I got some contacts and I worked with these guys before. I was able to get a couple of pretty big freelance work with the Walt Disney Imagineering. It was kind of like the one-man art team, so it was really fun. I get to design and build anything that I need in order to create, whatever art asset that for this project. So I kind of got spoiled, and after those, I really didn't want to go back to a regular job anymore. So even though the projects ended, I decided to just kind of concentrate on my online toy store and creating my own line of statues. And that's when I really kind of kickstarted the modeling on that. So I was able to create some statues on my own, and they were produced by Yamato. And if you click on the statues, there's a whole link of all these different statues I've done, and like the Lady Dragon was my first one. So these are kind of like for I guess more mature audience. So these are all based on my artwork, these kind of statues. All right, so let's get to some of your other questions. The first one is easy. How do you sharpen your pencil? Basically just a regular pencil sharpener. I primarily draw on the desk, so which is flat surface. I don't need that kind of broad strokes anyway. If you're drawing like vertically, it's kind of nice to have like a very long lead, so you can be a little bit more free, and that's kind of more like fine art drawing. But since I do mostly on the table, any kind of sharpening works. Okay, what is your favorite type of paper and why? Well, I haven't really experimented with too many types of paper, but basically the Strathmore, or the Canson sketch paper. This particular one is a series 400, and they're pretty good. Paper in general, if you plan on keeping it, do use a heavier weight paper, because with if you just kind of use like say regular print paper, what happens is that if you say you have a really nice drawing and you want to spray it with fixative, which is and fixative is a coating that you put over so that it prevent the graphite from smearing. If you have a really thin paper, when you spray on it, because it's kind of like it's a fine mist, it's gonna wrinkle the paper, so you really can't do it. So you kind of need like a harder pieces of paper, at least a thicker one. So in general, if you're gonna keep it, just go a little bit heavier on the weight. All right, let's move on to the next one. Do you draw from reference or imagination? This is a very good question. It's a very common question, and definitely draw from reference as much as possible. because no one can really draw from imagination. I mean, you can sketch from imagination, you can have ideas from your imagination, obviously, but as you're sketching, you're gonna realize you don't know how to do certain things. You'll be like, oh, how do I do this if I'm drawing a figure? How does this muscle go, or how does anything, like the proportions and things. So you can use your imagination to come up with ideas, but once you start drawing, if you realize you're missing elements, then you need to get some reference. And believe me, a lot of artists do that. I mean, I think most artists would do that. They don't draw from imagination. They design by imagination, but the actual product is actually very heavily referenced. So definitely draw from reference as much as possible. So what I do for a living, yeah, I guess mainly my online toy store and YouTube and statues for now. I don't know what I'll be doing next, but we'll see. Okay, what is the grid method of drawing? The grid method of drawing, I mean, we're talking about the same thing. It's a very tedious way to draw. Basically, you take any kind of reference image and you do like say like a tic-tac-toe grid, right, or even a denser grid over it, and then on your blank piece of paper, you do the same grid but at a larger, mainly a larger scale, and then you divide up that grid, and then you just kind of draw block by block. It's a really tedious method of drawing. I mean, I don't recommend it at all. I did it once in college and it was pain in the butt. It's not even drawing. I don't even know what it is. It's just painful. But having said that, the grid method, a simplified grid method, is very useful, and that's especially for the human figure. You can kind of divide it up like maybe like by fourths or thirds, and those are grids that you want to use. But in general, just try to avoid it. Very painful way of drawing. Okay, what pencil is perfect for shading? There's really no perfect way of shading. It's just like I tend to like to shade with the 4B and 6B. It's just darker and softer, and it's a little bit faster. If you're using like a 2B, it's a little bit slower, but you get cleaner lines. Or if you're even using like say like a number 2 pencil, that's really soft, and you can get some really nice subtle soft shading with that, as opposed to going with a 6B, which is really rough. So there's really no perfect shading. It's just, what do you prefer? Do you want something that's more subtle, or do you want something that's stronger? And if you want something stronger, then go bold, go with a 6B or 8B or even 10B, go with charcoal if you want, but it becomes a real mess. But if you want something fine, yeah, definitely you need the harder pencils. What are your motivations to making YouTube content? Well, yeah, it's easy. It's all about the money, right? But aside from that, it's kind of like, going back to basics. This YouTube thing has given me a place to kind of draw again, and just sit there and draw, and have an audience, for you guys to check it out, and to share my process at the same time as I'm learning. So even though I'm showing you guys, some of the tips on how to get better, I myself is learning a whole lot more. It's just, I mean, just the past few months when I've been doing this on a daily basis, it's just, I've seen a huge improvement, and hopefully I can continue to get better at drawing, and also develop some I don't know, easier techniques, and just really refine the technique, and hopefully I can share with you guys and help you guys with your art. Okay, the next one, I don't have any idea what should I draw. This is a very common problem. I used to open up a sketchbook or whatever, and I end up drawing the same thing over and over again, because it's like you get into this pattern. It's like, oh, open a Batman, 3/4 view. It's the same thing over and over again. So one way to get rid of that is just pick any kind of picture. Look through a magazine and just grab something that kind of interests you, and then just sketch it real quick, and then see how it goes, because that kind of breaks up your daily routine, and in a way it kind of gets back to do you draw from imagination or reference. So it's like your imagination can only take you so far. It's like you need to add in some outside sources, some reference into your head, and then that grows your imagination a little bit more. So it kind of works back and forth. So the short answer is that what should I draw? Then the short answer would be just pick anything and draw. All right, next one. Do you think discipline will eventually overpass talent? This is it's a weird thing, you know. It's like when you're able to draw, people think that, you know, you have this talent, that you were born with this kind of talent, and it's like nobody else can really do what you do, and it's all crap. I mean, that's just garbage. The only talent I have that I can remember is that I have a talent when I was a kid that I love to draw for whatever reason. I just love doing it, and that's what my parents told me. Is that I would wake up, you know, before them, and I would be sketching, and you know, when I was like 4, 5, and 6. So and I remember that, you know, I remember drawing those tanks and stuff. So as I grew a little bit older, and when I was in school and stuff, you know, elementary, junior high, people would always say, "Wow, you know, you have such talent in drawing." And in a way, I kind of believe that. That kind of that's actually that's really bad for you to hear. And I realized that I didn't have a talent. I just drew all my life. That's how I was able to, you know, do what I've done when I was in elementary and junior high and on the rest of the schooling. So talent, yes, you know, you might have some kind of predisposition to certain things. You might like certain things. You know, maybe you can catch on to certain things a little bit quicker. But you know, it's like even with that, if you don't improve on it, it's nothing. You amount to nothing. It's just, it doesn't work that way. I mean, I wish I can be more talented, but it's, you know, the talent comes with time. So that's basically what it is. The next one: do you ever have a hard time drawing something and make you feel like quitting? Yes, all the time. This is a very normal process, I think, for most artists, and I definitely feel it when I draw too. You know, one thing to get over that is because you're putting too much emphasis onto your drawing. It's like you're taking it too seriously. You know, what you should do is that when you're drawing, get a piece of paper and just start drawing. You know, like don't prepare too much. You know, too much preparation makes you nervous, right? You feel like, oh, you know, okay, I'm gonna get ready to draw now. I have the lighting, I have the reference, and my notebooks, everything's perfect. You know, I'm quiet, and then you just finally get there and draw, and then you realize you're sucking. It's like, I can't draw. It's like, why can't I draw? Well, it's because you lost your drive, your motivation. You know, it's like all these preparations making you nervous. You know, so when you're nervous, you can't draw. So one way to get rid of it is just forget about it. You know, have something that is like a drafting table, whatever. You know, something that's already there, that is ready for you to draw. You know, so that when you feel like drawing, you just step up to it, and it's like, boom, you're going. And believe me, that really helps. I mean, after I got my drafting table, I realized I was able to draw a lot better. It's just weird. It's just because you have this platform, and I can draw whenever I want. I just step up and I draw. And when I'm done, or if I don't feel like drawing anymore, I step away and I'm gone. You know, it's just, so having the freedom of just coming in and out without too much preparation is really good for art. And you know, if you feel like quitting and you're getting frustrated, it's because you're taking it too seriously. Just forget about it. You know, just draw. If you don't like it, just throw it away. I mean, it's okay. You know, no one's gonna know. No one's gonna laugh at you. It's like, you know, it's just, that's the whole art process that makes you better. It's not what you draw. So it's very important. All right, next question. How do you improve and be able to draw shadow and make a realistic drawing? Well, this one is easy. I mean, basically, if you want to draw something realistically, you need reference, you know, because that's what it is. Your reference taking a photo, that's real. So that's what you need to draw. And it's really hard to draw realistically without reference. And trust me, most artists draw a reference and they can't, it's very difficult for them to draw something realistically without it. So, I mean, they can kind of fool you in some ways, you know, because they've drawn it so many times and they can kind of do it semi-realistically. But for hyper-realistic stuff, it's because of reference. So definitely work from reference as much as you can. Okay, so let's see the next one. What is the best price to sell a sketch? You know, there's you know, if you're asking this question, you're probably like kind of like a beginner artist and you want to sell your art and make some income. And you know, from experience, I can tell you this is a very hard thing to do, especially, you know, as a beginner artist. It's just your art just isn't that good enough, you know, for people to want to pay money for. So if you want to sell your drawings, you know, in general, one way to do it is just kind of like, you know, figure out how long it takes you to draw any specific thing. Let's say you drew this thing and it took you like 5 hours to draw, and then you just add on, you know, multiply that with an hourly rate, whatever you think it is, maybe, you know, 30, 50, dollars an hour, and then you just multiply it, and then you can add in, pad in a couple hours or here and there, and that's the price that you can charge for your art, and you can see if people are willing to pay for that. And if they're not, then that means your art is not good enough, and you're gonna have to charge less. But in general, it's a very tough thing to sell art. I think it's better if you just kind of concentrate on drawing and actually getting better, as opposed to wanting to sell your art. And I mean, even for me, I've sold some art pieces before. I mean, the highest I ever gone was like close to $300. I mean, but then the amount of time that I spent drawing on it, it's a lot of time, and it's really not worth it, and it's really hard. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like keep doing it every day? I mean, I mean, you're not gonna be able to find a motivation to do that. So I guess yeah. In general, you can price it whatever you want. I would actually suggest you not sell it and just kind of learn the process instead. Okay, so what's your favorite drawing that you've done? I don't really have a favorite one, because I haven't really sat down and spent a huge amount of time in any one piece. I kind of either lose interest, or I just kind of it's a little bit too repetitious, so I kind of want to move on to different things. But so yeah, I don't really have any kind of favorite drawing. Okay, what is your favorite tool while drawing creating? I think I still like graphite, just because it's black and white, and also because I'm not really good at color. Something about color. I mean, color is very difficult, and it takes a little bit more time, and I don't want to use color pencils because it's a little stiff. I mean, when I was in school, I loved watercolor because it was fast and it was very fluid, it was very loose. So that kind of, why I like to use pencils, because it's very fluid, and it could be very loose. Should you try to stylize your art or simply draw your own style? This is a good question, because I have this kind of same question when I was in college. I asked the teacher, what style should I use and things like that. And then now that I know, I mean, haven't been through it, it's just your style comes out naturally. There's nothing, you might like somebody's art and you're like, wow, you recognize the style immediately, right? And I'll bet you, they didn't start out that way. They start out in a very different style, probably, something probably more realistic, something probably a little bit more stiff. And then as you grow as an artist, you start to, express yourself a little bit more, and then you kind of move on. You kind of realize there's something that you like about your art, like doing over and over again, and that's gonna show through in your art, and that becomes your style. It's not that you saw something and you're copying somebody's art. I mean, it's like if you look at Alex Ross or Stu Susan, the way his movie posters are. I mean, you can copy that if you want, but you might not want to do that, because you don't know if that's your own style. You kind of want to explore yourself and see if you can come up with something better, something more you. The problem with copying somebody else's style is that you get lost, and then you don't really know who you really are, and you might get bored at drawing that kind of style anyway. So in terms of style, don't worry about it. It comes over time. Just do what you're doing, and the style will come out. Okay, I started drawing the Tyrion Lannister video face, and then halfway through you lost interest. Okay, that's very normal. If you lose interest in the drawing that you're drawing, then you should stop. You shouldn't push it anymore. And when I did that, it was because I kind of liked the Tyrion character. That's why I drew it, and it's a little bit faster, so it's just a quick demo. But if you're having a hard time doing that, then find something else that you like to do. Maybe whatever your interest is. And this is really important, because whatever you're gonna draw, you have to like what you do. So it's like, pick the subject matter that you like. And I mean, I understand that you guys want to follow along sometimes, but if you're getting frustrated, then move on to certain other subjects that really motivates you. Like after graphite, charcoal, and what else do you dabble on? Yeah, I guess mainly I've been doing just graphite drawings, and that's why you guys asked that. Yeah, I don't know. I just love drawing. It's quick and it's something easy for me to show online. Whereas if I do a painting, it's probably take a long time. Even watercolor is just, I don't know. It seems like a very daunting process to try to show. But you know what, drawing is such a good thing. It's just if you're able to draw, everything else is kind of, you can push it further. You can do watercolor, you can do painting, whatever you want to do. But being able to draw is not just being able to work with a pencil, but it's being able to see, being able to control your hand, being able to see references, being able to see accurately, being able to understand color. I mean, everything grows from drawing. So that's kind of why I focus on drawing, because it is the very basic skill and it is very, very powerful. Alright, so that's it for this Q&A, and I better quit before my voice gives out. And yeah, thanks for all your questions, because it's like I'm really honored that you guys want to know more about me and my art process. And as much as it's helping you, it's actually helping me a lot. Just the fact that I'm able to draw every day. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.